start trading here now, guys. 82 even start trading. Paper comes in a big seller. 81 even start trading here now, guys. 79 start trading.
Okay, quick mic test here. Hopefully it is working. Yep, I hear myself, so we're good. So this is going to be a live stream charting of what we see here, which is, I will just go over it. Essentially, this column here is net delta, which is ask volume minus bid volume. This right column here, so we'll just call this delta. This will be volume. Call it V for volume. So this is volume. And then this here on the top of the candle is the candle's net delta, like in total for the whole candle, right? So it's the ask volume minus the bid volume for the whole candle, right? So more asks were hit in this candle. You can see it's 13, looks like 1377. And then here at the bottom, let's see, here, this is your cumulative delta. So we'll call this cumulative volume delta, CVD. And that just tallies your session delta according to your chart settings. So whatever session times you use, it's going to reset for the evening and for the day session, right? And then this center bar, right? You notice these candles here in the middle, like right here. See, this is really skinny, and then like this one's fatter. Well, what that is this is a volume bar candle. So in other words, these candles get thicker or wider the more volume that this bar has. Okay, and then you notice here that if you have a high volume node within a candle, it turns orange, right? That's just to alert you, to cue you that something important is happening here. And that same coloration is occurring here. And these two rows, the first row is total volume. So that's total volume for the bar, right? So that's bar volume right here. It's not session volume accumulating, it's for the bar, right? And notice right here we have a big orange background, and it kind of matches, right, with a high volume of the actual candle. Again, that's just an alert to tell you, hey, there's a lot of volume going off here, and it is important. Okay, so hold on here, yeah. And then the second is volume per second. So here we have on average 253 contracts per second on average in this whole 5-minute candle. Okay, and that's what that is. So why that's useful, this volume per second, is sometimes you'll see during the day, here, hold on, let me scroll back. Well, maybe I shouldn't have done that. There we go, we're back. Sometimes, I won't scroll back. So sometimes what'll happen is you'll see during the day that this volume per second spikes up and it'll turn orange. Well, you just know that there's a lot of interest in real time. Like all of a sudden, let's say that, I don't know, let's just say this candle's playing out in real time, and then all of a sudden this spikes and you see it turn orange, right? Or even a lighter color, right? You notice how there's some are black, some are dark gray, some are light gray, some are orange. Well, the orange, that indicates that it's a much higher volume spike, right? We'll go over those settings. But so that can cue you off in real time that, hey, there's a lot of interest to buy and sell right now, and that often happens when the market finds value around an area, right? And when the market finds value at certain areas, maybe at extremes, oftentimes we see reversals, right? Or even the opposite. Sometimes, if we go on an extreme downswing, right? Let's say we've had some big moves down all day long, and there's hardly any volume. Whoa, this is way too thick. There's hardly any. Let's see what I did. There you go. Let me back out of here. There's hardly any volume transacting at lows, right? And you see this is a really low number, but yet we're at an extreme for the day. Well, sometimes there's no interest to transact there, and if price moves away, right, that's another sign. But so either way, it gives you information. But I would say in my trading, I like to look at the orange, right? When the orange, and you'll see at like bar opens, this will spike because right, they're trying to retrace the bar a lot of times to stop hunt and stuff like that. You guys see that, say a new 5-minute bar or something, you'll see a stop hunt, or a new 30-minute, right? You'll get an extreme move one way and then it'll quickly retrace. Well, they're looking for stops, right? Just based on market structure a lot of times. Or people like to buy at that point, right? Why? Because, sometimes new 30-minute bar, usually the bars retrace. So you get a whole bunch of buyers at the beginning of the bar, like expecting a little higher, right? And then that aggressive buying triggers more buying, right? So there's different reasons for it. So anyway, going into the anatomy of this chart, that's what these are. These things are in the chart. And then you see these yellow lines here that extend out, right? Right here. And then it extends out until it touches. Those are incompleted auctions, and all that means is that there's a setting that says at this tick level, if you have 49 bid by ask quantity, so this is bid by ask quantity, at this last tick at the end of each bar, then extend a yellow bar out. And essentially all that means is that price has come down here. There's still a lot of interest, right? And there was, let's say you've got the bid and the ask. There were asks on one side and bids on the other, and price never moved a tick below while there were bids here. And then they transacted at least 49 contracts on the bid and on the ask at this level. And then price typically will quickly move away, right? Because they didn't even trigger one contract on this side. So a whole bunch of a whole bunch of activity occurred here, right? And then we moved away, and these areas are typically the market goes back and will typically either transact there, right, because there was a lot of activity there, or find stops or whatever, what have you. Like this, it occurs all the time. So that's another thing that I have on this chart. So and then this here is the so this volume profile is the RTH, right? And this one is the Globex, or we'll call it ETH, extended trading hours, right? And so that's sort of everything that is on this chart currently. And if I add anything more, like all the things that I normally would put, moving averages and all kinds of other lines, closes and opens, and this build will take too long, and I don't have that much time. It'll be hours and hours. So instead, hopefully, so this is 5-minute. So Jafar asks, what's my time frame? It's right up here on the left. Maybe it's hard to see. It's 5-minute here. All right. And you can change that for this to anything in Sierra chart. But so anyway, so I'm going to go over each little thing here, and we will learn how to build it together. And if you guys have questions, the more you guys are interactive with me, the more energy and I feel about the whole thing, because I struggle to do it on my own for an hour. It gets a little boring sometimes. So hence why I'd much rather do a little live stream here. Okay, so let's pretend we have a blank chart here, right? We're opening up our chart, right? We do a new intraday chart. Control I is a shortcut, right? And we're using, right? So these are my start times, right? With my end time. So this chart goes from 6:30 a.m. Pacific Standard or 9:30 Eastern to 13:59, which is an hour after the cash close. That's how my footprints are built. So why I point this out is because the cumulative volume delta that's seen at the bottom here, or I'm sorry, at the bottom of the bar right here, is going to accumulate from this start time to this end time and then reset here. So if you wanted it to be only the cash session, you would make your end time, in this case 13 or 12:59:59 I should say, right? And so note that for yourself if you want to have a different cumulative volume delta time. Yeah, we can trade directly on the chart. That's right. Yeah. Mohammed Jafar asks, can you trade directly on the chart? Absolutely. So I will show you. So here's the show market data columns, right? The market's closed right now, right? But this would be like a DOM, right? Bid side, ask side here. And we can even turn it on over here. You see that? So the buy and the sell side. So we're in a sim here, right? See that? Right from the chart, which is nice. Right, so bink. See that? Anyway, so this is more about building this chart, but yeah, I don't mind the questions. You can keep them coming, even if they're a little off topic. No big deal. So let's go back here and just start building this thing. Let's turn this off. All right, that's off. Let's turn off live trading mode. We'll turn off this. This is going to confuse things. So let's turn this off. Show market data columns. Okay. So let's get into it. So the studies that you're going to need is, first off, you would normally have a candlestick chart open. It'll probably open up to like a 1 minute, right? You'll have no studies on there or anything. So you need to go in and find the numbers bars. Numbers bars. See that? So just type in numbers. So numbers bars, and you're going to go ahead and add it, and then you're going to go. So this chart is going to be adding 2 different numbers bars studies. Okay, so we're going to start with the volume side of this first. So this numbers bar study has a lot of inputs. It's really intimidating when you first start using Sierra chart to look at this thing. And I've been using Sierra chart a long time, or not a long time, but I've been using it in depth for a while. And it's intimidating. This study is intimidating to me too. So what we're essentially going to do is we're going to create 3 columns, 2 of which have black backgrounds, or the background of your chart. So if you have a gray chart, you want to match the color here and all these column 1 range up and down to your chart background. So that's important. So put no text, right? And so this background's not going to matter. But the column 1 background color method, just change it to based on volume percentage. It really doesn't matter as long as you're coloring some kind of background, which this will always color the background something. And then no text, right? So you're going to do that for columns. So column 1, and just make it all black. And you're going to do it for column 2. And what that's doing is, you see the width down here? There's an imaginary column here, there's one here, and there's one here, right? So what you're doing is you're creating 2 black backgrounds, one here, and then you're going to put the volume study in the 3rd one, right? And then that's going to take up the space here in the 3rd column. So let's go do that. So here's column 2 and all its settings. Now column 3. So column 3 is going to be volume, for the number bars text. For the background time, it's going to be a volume profile, not left aligned, right? So there's, or right aligned volume profile. If you do right aligned, it's going to look really ugly, like really ugly. Watch. Ew, right? Isn't that ugly? Going this way. And then once you get like a thick bar in there, it's going to look funky. You don't want that. So you just do volume profile. There it is, volume profile. Again, there's a huge number of settings in here, right? Anyway, volume profile. And then the background coloring method is going to be based on volume percentage. And then the text coloring method, set it to none. Because the text is going to be controlled in another place of the number bar, right? If you made the text coloring method something, then the text color would change, and then it gets a little more complicated, because then you have to have text that is visible as it changes color, and at the same time that maybe the volume bars themselves are changing color. Christopher, hey man, long time no see. Yeah, left facing. So the text coloring method none, and then for the range color up, and I'm sure you guys can see 255, 135, 16. Those are the RGB, red, green, blue colors. So you want to change 2 and 3. That's just, I found that when you see range 2 and range 3, it gives you a much better indication of a volume node. And then these colors, you know, do 192, and it's automatically in here. It's this one here, right? So it's this not super white setting, right? You could change it, but look what happens. Look. Well, you can't really see it, but you know what? You might be able to change this to something brighter, but I did finagle with it for a while. So anyway. So then change these 0 and 1s on the up and down side, right? And then for the down, you want to go ahead and change it to that whatever color you like. I'm using orange. Again, orange is my theme for volume, high volume, right? I also use T+1, T+2 in their versions of orange too, right? And T+1 is what? Settlement, and that's high volume. It's the highest volume of the day on the E-mini typically, right? Last 30 seconds of trading. It's when E-mini settlement is calculated. So that's orange for me on the day. Why? Because it's alerting me to volume. Hey, Colin. Oh yeah, it's recorded in 1080p. So I don't know. Maybe it just needs to buffer right now. Yeah, on YouTube, that's typical. So I've elected for no buffering, and you guys get to see everything live with hardly any delay, and it's probably just YouTube not keeping up or something, but it'll be 1080p, yeah, for sure, and it will be recorded or uploaded later. So anyway, column 3. So this stuff here, this pullback column, you don't really need to care about this. So all of this you can leave it as is, all the way to pullback column 3. But you do need to change this default text color, and we're using RGB 100 across the board, right? And that gives you this here. Why do you use that? Because you can see it on the white, you can see it on the orange, right? So it's got to be dark enough to be seen on the orange and on the white. So I don't know, maybe you would want to make this white a little brighter. I don't know. It's just what worked for me. I think there was a reason for it. I don't remember what that was. All of this stuff here below that, you can copy it, but you don't need to change it, right? Until, let's see. Nope, still don't need to change anything. Still don't need to change any of this, right? But if something is different in yours, then maybe you would. Okay, so the font size is automatic with minimum, and then just say to make the minimum and maximum the same, right? Because otherwise the only other option is same as chart font. And if your chart font is bigger like mine is, see that? then these are going to be big. But I don't like these big, right? I want them to be 7. So you got to make it automatic with minimum, maximum, and then 7 on the min and the max, then it'll never change. So little trick. This here determines right here the maximum minimum values for coloring. You want to use this daily data, not the bar data. If you change it to bar data, I'll show you what's going to happen. But anyway, column 1, let's see. So you don't need to change this on, let's see, this setting, because this would apply to column 1, but it's all black. This would apply to column 2, but that's all black. So these don't really matter, right? This 25% and 50% and 75% would apply, so you guys are learning something here, to all of these different colors here, right? As you get to like 25% of max and 50% and 75% of max, right? It would correspond to the different colors you put here, but they're all black for columns 1 and 2. So you don't need to change that. And this is for volume, right? So column 3, you know, for volume, we do, let's see, we do care about this because we want to see about 75% of the highest volume be colored, right? And 50% as well. So it's this setting, leave it as is, 0.25, 0.5, 0.75. You can adjust it as maybe you would like to see. Maybe you want to make the 70%, whatever you want to do. But I'll just tell you this setting here works very well for using the range 2 up and down, okay, for that color, right? And then let's see, going back to this, I was going to talk about this daily data. So determine maximum minimum values for coloring from what? The daily data or what? The bar data. If you go bar data, watch. It's comparing the min and max volumes only from the bar. So you'll see within the bar that the colors represent, you know, this is like the 50-75% volume of that bar. But what do you care about when you're looking at rotations? What's most important to most traders? It's looking at rotations from, you know, this bar to this bar, or some structure to another structure. And you want to look at rotations relative to how volume's been playing out during the day. So that's important. So changing this from bar data on the coloring, again, it's the coloration that this is using for the volume profile. So to daily data is important, right? See, now we know relative to the session, chart session times, that this is very high volume. I mean, that's what you would expect. It's the close, right? So prior to the close, these bars look very different, and I'll show you guys what those look like. But anyway, you want to set this to daily data for that reason. It's an important setting, like really important. Just going through here. Here's another one. Volume profile bars, length relative to all visible bars. I believe it says all visible bars. Yeah, all visible bars. You know what I should turn on? Is I should turn on something else. Pointer figure real quick here, so you guys can track my my cursor. There you go. All right, that's better. And so this sets whether the width of the volume bars is relative to everything else that's visible within the chart. If this is off, then the bars are compared, the width of the volume profile is only compared within the bar. Watch. So let's turn this off. Every single one of these will look wide. Right? We know, look at the volume here, right? Total volume per bar. What, 76,000, right? Is that what that is? Yeah. 76,133. Should the volume profile be the same as this, or this, or this, or this, or this, right? This had 1,700 contracts. This had 58, and these are 5-minute bars. No, it shouldn't. But some people don't turn this on, so it's really, really important. Check it out. Look, will this skew your whole idea of what's the volume that's transacting in this? Now, if you're a scalper and you understand this and you're looking at this volume down here and you think that, you know, you want to look in this bar and you know that volume's falling as we get closer to 2 p.m. Eastern or 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time or 5 p.m. Eastern, and you know that volume's falling, and you know that, like, well, okay, I'll just sell, you know, if we get a certain kind of volume profile, even on low volume. Okay, more power to you if you think you can track that, but it's going to mess you up when you think that the volumes are the same as this. This is totally different volume compared to this. So you got to set this on. See, like, everything's filled out. It looks prettier, doesn't it? But it's not functional, right, for trading. So make sure this is on. Right? Now this is, you can see the volume, and you can even see the center candle. Right? We went over what the center candle is. It's a volume bar candle. It is extraordinarily thin because there's no volume, right? And then this reflects that as well. But again, I'll show you when I move this chart over, this will start to get some definition when we don't have the close in view anymore, right? And when you're trading most of the day, you don't have the, until you get to the close, it's not going to mess it up. It's not going to make the bars flat like this because it has, the close hasn't occurred, right? And when you do come to a huge volume area during the day, you want to know that everything else is, you know, relatively less volume than that area. So anyway, use separate colors for text coloring method. Set this to yes. So separate colors for text coloring method. Yes. If this is yes and you're using a text coloring method in one of the columns, then this applies. In this case, right, you see this color gradient? Remember, columns 1 through 3 don't even have, or the first 2 columns don't have anything. The third does. And the only text we're using is for volume. And for that, we're not using this setting. So in this numbers bar study, you don't need to change this. You don't. Okay? But if you do it now, no, you don't have to change it. You know, I copy studies essentially to save myself time. But I was just thinking, if you did it now, then you can copy it for the next time you use it. So whatever. You can start doing it if you're building your own. You can put these in, and then what you're going to eventually do is you're going to duplicate this whole study, and then you'll already have the settings in there for what we're going to do on the next study that we add to this chart, the second iterant. The second study, numbers bar study. So anyway, we don't use actual volume compared to, no, we don't use that. Highlight non-zero bid and ask volume at high-low. Column 1 with extension line until future intersection. You want to have this on and turn this on, and then the highlight, this is what I was talking about early in the live stream, which is highlight non-zero bid and ask at the threshold 49. You can set this to whatever you want. You want it to be 25 by 25 on the delta here, which means 25 on the bid and 25 on the ask transacted at that tick without anything above. Then set it to 25. I've just found 49 is relevant. Was it relevant even into the close? Sure it was, right? We went and took these out. So it's like a cheat code. I mean, it's not perfect. And how do you define risk as price moves away from it, right? But, you know, if you can find somewhere to define risks, oftentimes you can target that zone. So, you know, if you could put a stop up here and enter here, then that's better than 1R. Anyway, require 1 tick day, tick intraday data storage time unit. Yes. Default background color is really not that important. Outline width for background type. So spacing adjustment value, we didn't even change anything here. So okay, so and then I call this, it's number bars. This is the volume part of the number bars, right? So it's hitting black columns and then the volume, right? So essentially up until this point, your chart should look blank except for this little right column here. And then maybe some of these are showing up too, right? So Enzo says, why does my candlestick in the middle overlap delta and volume? Yours is straight in the middle, bigger or thinner. We're going to get to it, Enzo. We are going to get to it, my friend. Let's see. So we got this. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything like I did. So the non-zero bid and highlight volume at low, which was right here. This is where you set the color. Right there. Right. How thick do you want that line? Look, see, we can go 3. If you want it like that, great. Whatever. You wanted another color? Great. It's all good. Alright. So that's where that is. Let me make sure I got everything else. Scales. I don't think there's anything. Automatic. Subgraphs. Yeah, we got everything. Okay, so we've got the number bars study. The next one you want to add is this. So take this and hit duplicate. All right, just do that. Take this one that you just added, hit duplicate. It's going to come up with the same name and everything, right? Go ahead and click the properties for it. So we're going to pretend that there's a second one here. I'm actually going to click on this. We're going to pretend this is the one that's duplicated. It would say NB volume, right? Go ahead and click properties or settings. Change the name. Change it to number bars delta, NB delta. Okay. Now, here's what we're going to do, right? We're now addressing, in the number bars, we're addressing this column here. You guys should be able to see that we're addressing this one. That's net delta. Ask volume minus bid volume. Right? We'll say that there's a V here. Ask volume minus bid volume equals net delta. Right? Equals, we'll just call it delta. So that's what we're addressing right now, right? And again, we need 1, 2, 3 columns in this number bar, this one we're working on here, to get this moved over exactly evenly spaced. Enzo, this might be answering your question here pretty soon. Either way, it'll come together here shortly. I'll just go get out of this thing. Alright. Oh, let's delete this. And get out of here. Okay, so remember, we copied this from another, and so it's gonna have, let's see here, it's gonna be like orange and then gray and orange. But for the first column, so column 1, we're going to do ask volume, bid volume, difference, right? So ask volume minus bid volume, so the difference. So that's what we're going to select. For this column background type, we're going to go right aligned, ask volume, bid volume, difference, profile, right aligned. So it right aligns to the center bar overlay. This one, volume, is left aligned. See how pretty that looks? The right alignment also gives you a little space. So if this is here, if this is right aligned and this is left aligned, you notice how there's a space now most of the time between these two? Gives us the impression, see that, of separation. Right? If it's a big candle, it'll still be close, like here. But most of the time, it gives you this space here now. Right? So it's a visual thing. And it also looks better right aligned to a candle that has a straight side here. Okay, and it's going to give you like a really nice spacing when it's maxed, when it's a huge volume candle. Okay, so that's why we do it here this way with the separate number bars studies. You see this one? This is the maximum volume width. But there's like a slight amount of space. That's how I like it. Okay, so this is right aligned ask bit difference profile. The coloring method is based on dominant ask volume, bid volume, actual. That's what you want it as. Otherwise, you're going to mess around with this forever. The text, column 1 text coloring method, right here, is going to be based on dominant ask volume, bid volume to volume at price percentage. It doesn't really matter on the text coloring method because that's going to be determined here, right? And you see that there's no different shading, and you don't want to have different shading because if you have different shading, these colors aren't going to stand out against the background and against, like, see this one? It's not going to stand out properly, okay? So it doesn't really matter is what I'm getting at. And then these colors, you can copy these colors, the RGBs, right? Just pause it, copy it. Column 2, right? We have to have a column 2. No text. The background, full background doesn't matter because it refers to this. Column 2 background coloring method. Let's see. I'm just looking at this. Yeah, that's what I did. It does matter. So just hit this full background, and then for column background coloring method, just do none transparent and none. I just decided to do it on the full background on this the text. So no text, you just full background. Do it just like this. All black again, all black. Column 3, all black. Right, so this is all black. So again, we're using this column 1 for delta, net delta, and then we're using this one. It's all black, and then we're using this one. It's all black. And again, you see the order. Make sure this one is below this one in the order, because if this one's above this one in the order, guess what's going to happen? It's going to overlay the top of the other one. Ooh, that's not good. What happened here? Let's make sure we don't have. So Captain Axelrod is. Oh, we have to remove. Let's see. Hide user. Infinite Solutions. He's so angry. He was banned on Discord for being a jerk. Okay, so going back to this, do the background all black, but Captain, this is not a penumbra and thing. Oh, you know what? If you're just letting me know, I appreciate on the Windows 11 versus Windows 10. I'm still on Windows 10, so good thing. I appreciate that. Let's see. All right. So do the background for column 2 and column 3. Do it all black. Again, we don't use the pullback columns. The default text colors, we don't care because we're actually going to be using, again, according to this, we're going to be using this. So now it matters, right? Use separate colors for text coloring method set to yes, and then use all of that. And then, okay, well, I don't want to get too far ahead here. Let's see. Color dominant. Highlight minimum value. All right. So set this as you see here. I'll keep going. So single value text alignment, right? You want to align your text, and maybe in the other one I didn't get this. Single value text alignment, you want to set this one to right. On the other number bar study, go set that one to left. That's something I missed. Let's see. Let's go back. Right. Yeah, so this single value text alignment refers to the deltas and how they align. Aligning it to the right, again, will give us more space here, right? On most bars. So that's important. I'm gonna have more coffee. I'm starting to peter out. All right. Life of a dad with a newborn. Tired all the time. And amazed that I'm actually able to find time to do this. Okay. Let's go. Again, this should already be set because it was copied. And column 1%, if it's not, which it should be because it's copied over from the other one, but if you did change it in the other one, it's copied. If you didn't, you need to change this to 25, 50, and 95. What that's going to do is that's going to get you, when the delta is 95% of the total volume, it'll make this yellow, right? And why is that important? Because people refer to 100% deltas that stretch out in real time very quickly as typically stops, and so that'll highlight the zero prints. You see that like up here on the top left, right? A bunch of zero prints, right? So all 100% delta, there were stops in here, right? So that when this level was broken, market zipped through it with some sort of market buy or stops or something. Right, so it's useful to see that the market, there was a market buy, there were stops or something like that. It's useful to see those. And so this will get you on the column 1, which is what we're using. This will get you 95% or greater. It'll get you most of the zero prints. Again, I like 95%. Maybe you move this up to something higher, whatever. So this column 1% compare thresholds will control the coloring for this here, right? So this range 3 up color, right? You see that? So this range 3 would refer to the 0.95 or 95%. So let's see. Again, make sure that these are both set to yes, because we're wanting to use this. We do want to have the deltas set to relative to the daily or all visible bars. Let's see. So Dusty says, not to stray off topic, but maybe at some point during your live stream, could you give a brief synopsis of how you would execute using this setup? Oh boy, man, there is no brief synopsis. The reality is it's complicated, and this is just a chart building live stream, and so I'm only going to do this for, I don't know, not a ton of time. So yeah, not today, my friend. Let's see, and I've kind of covered what things do, and it's up to everybody how they want to use it. I don't know, maybe I have other videos that go over how to execute, but yeah, I personally, just real quick, I guess I use footprint in conjunction with other things, not just by itself. I look at structure, I look at larger support resistance levels based on a bunch of different things, and then I look for the footprint to give me some sort of repeated pattern that I know works on a footprint around that type of level, right? And And then, it gives me additional conviction on the trade. It's not just, use the footprint by itself. But there are a lot of people who do just use footprint. So not I. Let's see. So set the spacing adjustment value is important on this. Okay. So I set this to 48, and what this does is it offsets. Oh, you know what? I just realized something. What I said earlier was wrong about this background. I'm not even using these column 2 and 3. What I'm using is only column 1. And so you can, so this is, let's see. And I'm scrunching it all. Yep, that's what I'm doing. Golly, I couldn't even remember how I did it. And so set this to 48. Now, depending on how you compress this scale, you're going to have to shift this number to something else, greater or less. So just keep that in mind, because, if I set this to say, I don't know, 44 and hit apply, remember it's 48. You see how it's just shifted over right? And now it's going to overlap that candle, right? So this type of chart is not, so I set it back to 48, now the spacing's equal. So this kind of chart is dependent on how you've compressed the scales here. So this is not a kind of a type of chart where you're going to be moving the scales all the time, right? You're going to set this up once the way you like it, and then you're going to leave it alone. And maybe, I have a 49-inch screen up here, so I can expand this to the whole screen and see like the whole session plus some, right? So I can see everything. If you need to constantly squish the time, right? If you need to compress time, this is going to be a real pain, because you're going to be getting these things to overlap. This probably addresses Enzo's. This probably addresses Enzo's question here, potentially. We'll see. We're getting close to it now. So anyway, you definitely want to set this to a value. Again, I have 48, but this value is dependent on how much you've moved these scales, right? And I don't even want to move mine, right? Because when I move it, it's gonna move this whole thing. So I don't even want to mess with it, right? I don't want to touch it. So you may have to play with that, right? So there's a relationship there. All right, let's go back into the studies. What have we done? We've done the number bar delta, numbers bars. Let's see. Let's make sure I haven't missed something. Subgraphs. Let's the scales, automatic. You guys can pause your videos. Yeah, Dusty, I would love to get sidetracked one of these days on how to use footprint. But this isn't the day. Yeah. In the Discord, we talk about it every day on voice, by the way. So, I don't know. I just feel like I repeat myself every single day in 1,000 different... There's so many setups in the market, as you guys know. But anyway, yeah. Might find myself getting distracted if I talk about it, because, I love trading and love talking about all the various setups and all that stuff. Okay, so I think we are done on this one. Okay, so this would be done. So on your screen, you should see something like these deltas here, and these volume profile on this right side. So this should be black right now. You don't have any of this, right? Maybe you have these yellow lines if you've set it the same way. You don't have anything down here. You don't have the volume profiles. Boy, this is going to take a long time. How long have I been doing this? 2:11. Oh my gosh. All right. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to do the center volume bar overlay. And boy, I can't even remember the name of the study. I think it is Overlay. Yeah, overlay bar. That's what I thought it was. So you're going to find this study, overlay, parentheses bar, add it, and then you're going to go open it. And you can call it something so that you're not confused later as to what the study does. And you're going to make sure it's in chart region 1 here. It's probably not going to look right when you first add this, by the way. So you're going to overlay from same chart of study. Yes. Chart to overlay. This one, right? Maybe you have a bunch like me, but anyway, it's use this one. When you set this to yes, it should set it to the right one. In the subgraphs, you're going to use candlestick price volume bars, and that's going to give you bars that are fatter with more volume and thinner with less. Okay. You can unclick, use chart graphic settings for subgraph colors, and what that is going to do is it's going to change it to your chart graphic settings or your global graphic settings, right? So for this chart, you're either using global graphic settings or you're using chart graphic settings. And this will either use the global if that's turned on, or the chart graphic settings if that's turned on in another setting. Okay. So but this is for colors, right? So go change your last, open, high, low, whatever. I think you only care about high and last, I think. But you can probably even turn this on, hit apply, and then it'll use your graphics, your global graphics settings, or again your chart graphics settings. So whatever that's set to. Anyway, again, I turn all these off so you don't have headers up here. That's just me. So unclick all of this stuff here: display, input values. All these three, I always turn them off for everything, so it's nice and clean. Chart region 1, and then for the scale range, if I did that too fast, chart region 1, hit scale, hit same as region, right? So in that way it's scaling it exactly the same as the region that it's in. I just want to make sure we're good here. All right, yeah. So go ahead and click apply. Now you should have some really fat, really big volume bar that's going to cover everything. Okay. Make sure that in the order of things that this is below these two. So this one, then this one. Okay. So now we're going to go into. So go into your chart settings, your chart graphic settings chart, and if this is on, use global graphic settings instead of these settings. You're going to be using your global graphic settings instead of individual settings for this chart only. Now consider what you're about to do. If you want to change your global graphics settings for the volume bars for all volume bars associated with this instance, again, it'll affect every chart that has this set to on. If you want to change those settings and have it apply to every chart, then turn this on. But if you want this only on for this chart, again, you're going to have to change all the colors for this chart if this isn't changed. So it's going to be set to whatever is default. So I like using global graphics settings. I like keeping this on and then going and changing the global graphics settings and doing it once. And I don't use the volume bars on any other charts in any other way. And so I can do that. But if you're somebody who uses these candlestick volume bars all over the place and you like them to be a certain width, then this is going to mess you up by having this on and then going and changing it in the global graphics settings. Okay. If that was a lot to take in, I get it. Pierre, you're very encouraging. Thank you for that. So let's go. Again, I'm using the global graphics settings. So here we go. Here's all your colors and stuff, but you got to go into other, and you need to do price volume bars with percentage. I think this is, I don't remember what it defaults as. Like, I think it's like 125%. I mean, that's just from memory. I think it defaults to 125% of the designated area for the price volume bars, which is, you know, this whole, all three columns. So it'll make it overlap. It's so funky. It's so ugly. So what we're trying to do is, we're saying use 20% of the total width. Or you can change it to 25%. Again, this is going to be relative. You're going to have to mess with this to how you drag your scales down here. If you drag them really wide, right? And remember, we have that offset, that 48 offset that we used in the number bar studies. Jose, I don't know. I don't. It's possible. I'm not too sure. I think this would be the way to do it, if so. But I'm not. I think that's how you would do it. You know, the TPO study on Sierra chart has its limitations because it's using, well, there's just a lot of limitations with TPO. Like, I know in oh, what is the name of that program? MotiveWave. You can do what you're asking, but I don't know that you can do it in Sierra chart. It doesn't mean it can't be done, but it's possible. I would, yeah. I don't really know, but I don't think, I don't know. I don't think it is possible to overlay like how you're wanting to. So, but anyway, back to this price volume bars with percentage. Again, you've got to set this relative to however you're, you know, moving these scales. So if you move these scales and you got them set to the width you want, and then you do the number bars offset thing, and you get that right, this is the final step. You're coming in here and you're changing the width. So like, let's change it to 25%. You're going to see the bar get wider. Hey, 25%. Does it look bad? Actually doesn't. Maybe I should use 25. What about 30%? Is it going to overlap? Not quite. It doesn't even quite overlap. So maybe that's, so the wider you make this, the more the thin ones are going to look really thin relative to the widest one, right? So maybe the fatter you can make this thing, the better. So I'm gonna actually, you know, I had 20%. I'm gonna leave it at 30, maybe 31. Let's see. Oh, look at 31. Almost perfect. Yeah, it still lines up, doesn't it? Yeah, we'll leave it at 31%. So anyway, you don't change anything else. That's it. That's all you do, right? And then, of course, you change your colors for what? You know, candlesticks or whatever. Let's see, wherever it is. Candlestick up outline, right? See how they're these colors? So if you want to know the colors, this is it. 153, 235. I have it saved as a custom color, right? It's here. And then this one, so save yourself some time. Right? Go select that custom color area you want to save it, right? Go change this. And then boom, add to custom colors. It's selected. Boom, it's in there now. Now the next ones you just boom, highlight, or you just select the colors as you go. Save yourself some time. Okay. Oh, I don't know if I like 31%. I think I like 30. Apply. Yeah, much better. Okay. 30 is better. Going back to the number bar study. Okay, see how we see the close here? Right? You see the volume profile outline. This is going back to the volume volume profile width relative to all other visible bars setting, right? So now watch when this drops off the screen right now. These are all going to change. Bink. See that? So in real time, that setting is awesome until you get to the close. right? Even these volume bars, right? This looks crazy. And then you get to the close and settlement, and then boop, everything relative to the close becomes insignificant. And in doing so, you should be recognizing right now that the close, the last 30 seconds of trade, is the most important volume of the day typically. And you know, all of us traders, we like to look at things. We like to look at how much volume per second is occurring. We like to look at volume. We like to look at volume profile. We like to look at number bars. You should be marking this area down on your chart. I do it through indicators. You're like, share it with me. No, I can't. It's going to take me too long to get through this chart build. Okay, so now we have the center bar overlay. We have delta. We have volume. At least I hope you guys are there. So now the next thing we need to do is we need to add this number of bars calculated study. Don't remember what it's called. So it is called number bars calculated values. Okay, so let's go here and type in number bars. Oh, missed it. Number bars calculated values. Not 2, but this one. Go ahead and add it. Go into the settings for it. And transparent background. No. Why? Because you want the background to be colored. Text background color. Doesn't really matter. But maybe change it to black in case, or the color of your chart in case it's this area here will show up differently. Show pullback column lines. No. Font size 0 equals auto. 7. Why? Because I want to match this up here. You don't have to. You can change it to 8. But watch. I just think it's ugh. That's me. Okay? I think it's ugly. Because this chart gets squished, right? Normally this, I've got an NQ chart here, and up here I've got an ES chart. So, you know, for me, I like it 7. Labels on the right. Yes, that's here. These labels here. Right. I should actually change this. Instead of total volume, it should be like bar volume, but whatever. We know it's bar volume. We know it's not total volume. Otherwise, the volume would just be ratcheting up. But labels on the right allow values to overlap labels. You could. It doesn't matter really too much because they won't overlap in this setup. But hide labels, other, this doesn't matter. Reset day calculations at both session start times. Yes, this does matter, right? So set this to yes. And it'll matter once we start using things like cumulative volume delta, right? That's what this is setting. The studies that are listed here that use, you see how these studies down here, like one of these uses day. You see that? That says cumulative sum of ask volume, bid volume difference. So this is your cumulative volume delta for the day. So anything that uses this dash day is affected by this settings. Reset day calculations at both session start times for the day type studies. Okay, so if you want your cumulative volume delta to just not reset at every session start time, then set that to no. Include color background based on value percentage. Yes. Determine min max or max min values for background. Daily data, not all data. All data will put everything in your chart, right? Every day is different. Some days are high volume, some days are low volume. So you want to compare to the daily to the next day's session, essentially, right? So compare thresholds 20, 40, 60, 80. This is the way to do it, right? Set it like this so that you get these various shades. Range 3 up color. That's that same orange color, right? 255, 135, 16. RGB, red, green, blue. Like what? What do I set that? red, green, blue, RGB, 255, 135, 16. I don't know. So you want to copy these, pause the screen, copy them. This is a mirror image, or this side is a mirror image of this side. Okay. Use different text colors for pullback and labels. Yes, I don't know that it matters. Pullbacks and labels, text colors. Yes, this does matter. Nice and bright white right here. Set this to anything you want. You want to have it at, bright yellow, be my guest. Whatever. That's where you set it. I wonder what bright yellow looks like. Let's see. Oh, that's not where it is. What was I thinking here? Let's see. Or did I not change it? Let's see. I should have. Let's see. What am I doing here? I think it might be down here. Where is it? I thought it was there. I swear, so many different. Where is it? Oh, I'm a struggler. Whatever, we'll put it back to yellow. I'm not sure what's going on here. There's probably, we'll get through it. Maybe there's another, let's see. Use different text color for pullback and labels. Yes. All right, I know that there's, let's see. Text background. Oh, where is it? Stuck. Oh, whatever. Maybe it'll show itself here. Okay, so then the next thing to get total volume is, oh, it's here. Yeah, son of a gun. It's this color, so that's the text, right? So we could, if we made this yellow, then it would change it. See, I'm a dunce sometimes. See that? Oh, it's yellow. So for down volume, we're saying it's white, right? For up volume, we're saying it's yellow. So you could change it like that. That's actually interesting, isn't it? Right? Maybe you do want to change that. Oh, that's interesting. Maybe we're making it better by going slowly over this, like that, right? I don't know. It's total volume. Does it show up well on the orange? It shows up okay. I mean, the white shows up okay too. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with white. It's this color white. Anyway, if you want to change that, you got to do auto coloring based on, I think you based on positive, negative, but I have it on slope. So either way, I think it doesn't matter, right? It works for both, right? But if it's none, it'll make it just one color, right? On the auto coloring. So based on slope or based on positive, negative, either one. But I select based on positive, negative because that's the appropriate setting. Unless you're like me, you just have it all white. So whatever. Let's go back. Every time you hit apply, it takes you back to the top, right? So let's find where we were. Total volume is actually the total volume per bar. So it says total volume in the short name. Call it bar volume, right? And then that'll change this over here, I think. There you go, bar volume. And then see how I hit apply? It took me back to the top again. So if you're trying to go fast, don't hit apply every time. Bar volume, and there's volume per second, right? About 70% of the way down. There you go. And then select it. So this is volume per second. Yeah, that's fine. And then you also want to change the grid colors to something nice. In here, I have 31s RGB, right? And it's not super bright, which that's kind of how I like it to look. But you can change this. All right. So keep in mind that right up here, cumulative sum of ask volume, bid volume difference all is cumulative volume delta. So we have this study here that has all of these data points, right, that we can keep track of. And so this study we're actually going to use to pull in the data to put this cumulative volume delta here, right? Because, you know, we don't really care about coloring the background of a cumulative volume delta, and we want the backgrounds colored of volume per bar and volume per second. But you would never want to have it, the cumulative volume delta, get like, you know, as you get to the greatest range, it's always going to be orange, right? Based on the last number of bars, it would just print a whole bunch of orange in here. So you don't want that down here because of the color scheme that you're using for this. So that's why we put it up here, right? We don't care about the background for that color scheme, right? So anyway, so that's where this is found. This right here is found in this study. So that's what we're going to refer to. Okay. So this, let's make sure we're done. Let's make sure I covered everything. I didn't, you know, leave anything out. We're putting it in chart region 2. This is chart. So this is, gosh, this is chart region 1. This down here is chart region 2, and it has 2 different rows of numbers. Now, one of the reasons you don't want to have 2 number bar calculated values and have different backgrounds is because if you go and do this and expand this, if it's all part of the same study, it'll make the height, it'll automatically make the heights, it'll make it the same equal height based on the different, I guess, rows. Okay, but if you have different studies, you could have one study like stretched out, and then the other study not, and then all of, like, you know, you would be able to actually adjust this like this, and this one would be small, this one would be big. Maybe you want that for a certain reason, but let me tell you, it's a real pain in the butt when you have to adjust this too many times. It slows you down, right? So you only want the things down here that make sense, and it makes sense from a coloring perspective and from a height adjustment perspective to have these both in here, and they're both volume. So this is both, this is down here, it's always telling you about volume, right? And these colors are corresponding to this, right? So when you see like high volume per second, I'm gonna actually end up talking a little bit about what Dusty was talking about. When you see like a fat bar here, now this is the close, but like let's say price comes down and in real time, right, you see, oh, it's a fat bar relative to all of this, and then again this coloration is relative to the whole session, so it's looking forward at what already transacted. It's a little confusing, I know, because one is like, you know, the width of the volume bars is whatever's on your screen, and then the actual coloration only gives you daily, right, or the whole chart, or all the data, right? So this isn't turning orange, but in real time this would have turned orange, and it would have told you that there's a lot of interest. And if the volume per second in real time was high, you would be getting an alert like, huh, a lot of interest to transact here. Huh, if we hold, maybe we can put some risk on if we come back above here, right? And if you're a scalper, maybe you would have made some money, right? So there's one little scenario. So let's see, in the number bar study, the number calculated value study, let's see here, settings, chart region 2, it'll always set it default like this, so don't worry about this. It'll change it to this because it's a, you know, it's a table. Hashish Dalbeda, you know, I have two 49s in front of me, two 49-inch curve monitors, and then two vertical 27s. And I I do keep this footprint chart up all the time, but I keep TPO charts up. I keep 5-minute candlestick charts up with a bunch of other indicators, and then I keep I keep a weekly TPO and essentially volume bars up with some cool indicators and stuff. But it does help to have extra screens if you're going to look at all of them, and I do, because sometimes tabbing through screens is a pain, and like some of my screens have large trade indicators and stuff, and that's another, and I don't know. Let me see if I can move a screen in here like this one. It's so useful. Look, right? It's just cleaner, right? I can chart off of it really nice. These are just volume bars. Anyway, look at how easy it is to distract me from the chart build. Okay. Killing me, man. Let's go. So let's see, chart region scales. This one's fairly simple, right? You just want to make sure everything's ignored except for what you're using, right? You're going to change the draw style. I didn't cover that, to visible instead of ignore. Change your color, right, to this off-white thing, right? I think we're good there. Scales. I always change it to something like, number bar calculated. You can do like number bar calculated values, volumes maybe, or something, right? So you know that it's this, or maybe you don't need that. So anyway, that's done. Okay. And then, if you want to have a current price line in there, right? CPL. Well, we'll just address it real quick. So it's called a current price line. You add it, settings. Not everybody knows how to put this current price line in like this. I think it's a basic one though, based on main graph. Set it all like this. Okay. Draw study underneath main price graph over here. Otherwise, it goes over your footprint. That's ugly. You want to see these numbers all the time, right? You want it to go underneath, just like it is here, right? It's going underneath. You don't want it going over the candlesticks or anything like that. And then this, you want to do all of this. Or again, I unclick all of this. Draw style line at last bar, left to right. And that'll get it all the way across your screen. And then I do the alternate, right? But whatever floats your fancy. I like to do something that's bright enough to where when I'm sitting outside of the office on the couch and I'm seeing price move, I can see it move against structure, right? So if I see this thing moving up and down, and like let's say we break out, and I see the white line and this thing's all adjusting, and then like let's say this was support up here, and I see the white line coming to support, I might get up off the couch and be like, maybe I do want to try to take a trade. We're bouncing off this support, and then give it a shot, right? So we're bouncing, bouncing, bouncing. Maybe it goes. I don't know, something like that. That's why I like this line, because it kind of allows you to see where price is moving relative to prior structure when you look left. That's cool. All right, we got the center bar overlay. We got that. Okay, so now we need to do the bar delta and the cumulative volume delta. So we do this study here. Study subgraph above or below bar as text. So study subgraph. There it goes. So just type in study sub, and then it cuts the first one in the list apparently. Yep. Add that. Let's go into it. So it would be here. Let's go to the settings for it. So we call it something. We call it what it does. Cumulative volume delta below bar. Right. Chart region 1. The same chart region that has the bars. Here's the important part. We go in here and we refer to the number calculated values that we just made, right? And then we go find cumulative in the list, cumulative sum of ask volume, bid volume difference day. Okay? That gives you cumulative volume delta. Location, bottom of bar, offset in ticks. So we want it not just offset below the last tick by 1, we want it offset by 2. Why? Because it's cleaner. 1, 2. Draw zeros, no. Forward columns, no. Offset and text heights, no, just leave it. And then what you got to do is it'll put this custom value at Y, but auto coloring based on positive, negative. Put whatever color you're putting for positive and negative in here. Okay, so you guys have the colors 1, 153, 235, and then this is 215, 40, 21. I call these CQG colors. These tend to match CQG, which I execute in CQG on their browser-based free thing. I've got a separate account, so I like to trade off my phone. And Sierra Chart's terrible. Can't trade off your phone in Sierra Chart. So anyway, separate account for CQG, so I can use their mobile app. It's cool. That way I can trade from the couch sometimes. So it allows me to get in from the couch on a different sub account I trade with AMP futures. So anyway, this is where you do it. Again, unclick all this stuff so it doesn't show up here. That's ugly. You don't want to do that, right? And then again, you're using the number bar calculated, so you got to do it in this, the number bar calculated values, you got to do this in this order. This is a subgraph, right? So it's a study subgraph, which is, you know, cool because you're essentially using the data that you have that is in this study, but it's not being displayed. But you can still use it, right? You can still refer to it. So yeah, put that in there, right? Click, set this all up, click apply. And you're essentially for the top, right? You're going to do the exact same thing. Study subgraph above below bar as text, and instead of using the you're going to use the same number bar calculated value study, and then you're just going to do bar delta ask volume bid volume difference. So it's just the bar delta, and that's it, right? And you're going to put it top of bar, offset it 2, chart region 1, automatic scales, same on the last one, subgraphs, again, positive, negative, unclick all this stuff. If you want to adjust the font size, this is where you do it. Again, we've been using 7, so use 7. Same thing with the last one, the last study that was below the bar. Use 7. Done. Easy. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. So we've got this, and this down here, all in here. Now all we got to do is go do our RTH and ETH volume profiles with, and I didn't point this out at the beginning of the video, net delta for session at tick. That's what these are. Net delta. So all the deltas, ask volume by minus bid volume at this tick for the whole session. Right? So was there absorption here at this level? Yeah, a little bit of absorption on the bid. But you know, I'm less of a fan of these than I think a lot of other people are. I'd rather look at the structure of the market. But some people swear by using delta at percent. I just noticed there's rotation, right? Absorptive, right? And then passive on the ask side, right? Or you could say it's initiative as well, right? Maybe the you know, it's the best way to look at the market is structure, right? Support, resistance, looking at structure, looking at where traders are trapped, where traders are taking initiative out of balance areas. To me, that's the best way. And then, of course, you can use something like a footprint to measure volume per second, volume on the bar, right? If it's an extreme buying delta out of what was resistance, right? And then the price comes back and it's supportive on that level, then boom, then it goes. Anyway, so what we're going to do for this RTH VBP, volume by price study. So we're going to go ahead and go to the studies and then go volume by, just type that in, volume by price, add it. Okay, so we're going to do RTH first. And here we go. I'm going to call change your short name, RTHVBP. I do draw study underneath main price graph. I don't know why I set that. There was some reason I set that long ago, but probably not important. So draw mode, volume profiles. And you're like, what's going to be on the right side? Why would you want? Just trust me on this. Volume profiles, number of periods back to reference 0, ticks per volume bar 1. Definitely set this to 1. You're going to do multiple profiles from start time to end time. It's going to use your chart settings. Set it is no fixed time is days. Right. Number of bars based on all this leave as default. When you get down here is use different start time. Set this to yes, and then change it to your cache session. So for me, this is Pacific Standard Time. Change this to 9:30 Eastern. And to me, I use on my footprint, I go from cache session to essentially 6 p.m. What is it for? Well, I go to 2 p.m. Eastern or 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern on my session times for my footprint. Right? It's just what I like to do, but you may have a different preference. You may want to end at the cache session. Whatever floats your boat. Maximum volume bar width type, window width. This is going to be variable. It's going to be so this is based on window width or from here to here, and I'm saying 10% of that use for this. That's what I found works. You may have to change it based on your width and based on your preference. So it's screen dependent, it's chart size dependent. You're going to have to mess with that, but this I find works. Right align volume bars, important. Yes, right align them. Display volume in the bars. You're going to display ask volume minus bid volume or delta in the bars. You can filter volume threshold. You could if you want. Let's just say we filter it by 500. You're going to see that? So now, if you're like, I'm a delta guy and I only care about deltas above 500, well, there's your way of filtering here. Okay, so I don't do that. We'll just set that like that. Okay, they're all filled in. But a lot of people like that. A lot of people want less. They only care about certain numbers. It's a way to do it. Always display last profile within view. Yes, that is important because it'll keep you on the right here and always displaying the last profile within view. Volume bar calculation method. So that's for this hologram. You're setting it to total volume, right? Not ask volume, bid volume, or delta, but total volume. So this outline is total volume, but these numbers are the deltas. So we're not seeing the volume here, but we're seeing the deltas. Always display last profile within view. Let's see, where am I at? Coloring method, none. Let's see. This isn't going to apply because we're not doing that. Let's see. Use transparent. I don't like value highlighting the value area. You could though. You could highlight your value area. I don't. In this chart, I don't. I have separate studies for value area high, value area low, drawing within the chart as lines. I'm not going to get into it. Why? I have a bunch more studies. Look. See how this is? Footprint ES center bar for YouTube. It's limited to these studies, right? But I have one that's not for YouTube. Center bar RB. And it has like a bunch more studies. I won't have enough time. And this will be too long. So anyway, back to this. Where were we? But if you want value area high and low, you can still draw it in on this right side. I just don't. I like it really clean. And I like having a line in my chart for the value area lines and I want to see them as they develop for my trading style and tracking all of that stuff. Let's see. So extending value area, highlight value area, none, no. I'm not even highlighting point of control. Again, I use a separate study for that. I'm showing you guys the basic footprint. Whatever you want to add to this, right? Value area lines, studies, all kinds of point of control. You can add that in a different study. So volume bars draw method, hologram. That's how you get this. And then align volume number bars to base of volume. Yes, you want to align it here. Otherwise, here's what's going to happen. It's going to go on the end here. I think that is incredibly ugly, but some other people do it this way. I hate that. I hate it. Voslo, if you're watching, I don't like yours, but you have beautiful charts. Let's see. Allow side-by-side profiles on right side. Yes. User define width for side-by-side profiles on right side. Yes. Important ones. Align to far right. Yes. Do not overlap DOM graph. Yes. Why? Because you don't want your DOM over this, do you? No. So if you're turning on your DOM, right, you don't want that over. You want it going in here to show market data. You want it not overlapping this. So important. Let's go back here. RTH. There's so many settings in Sierra chart. So many. That's a good thing. It's a good thing. All of this is set to no. Not using the rainbow colors. Display data in chart values window. Yes. That's here. That's this. Show chart values on profile. You're showing chart values on profile with labels. So here's the label. So this is volume for the session, POC for the session, volume above POC, volume below POC. I find that useful. Do I use it all the time every day? No, only when I'm struggling to frame a trade and I'm trying to determine, not trying to determine, but I'm using it to weight whether or not let's say there's a huge negative delta on the day, on the cumulative volume delta. POC is near session lows, and the majority of volume is all done below the POC, as right here, volume below POC. I might go, we start to rally above that point with all kinds of negative delta, right? And volume's all at the bottom. Then guess what? The smart players bought the bottom, and as we rally, short's got to cover. And if there's strong hands, we're going to rally for a long time, right? So stuff like that, big picture, right? To give me kind of an idea of positioning. So that's why I have it here. Text font size, it's an 8, right? It's not a 7. I think I should change that. Again, it's not going to change it here. This is ETH. Watch it change it. No, it doesn't. So it'll change it on the bottom of this one, but you guys don't see that. So we'll change it on the ETH one, and then you'll see it shrink here. So chart value to be displayed on profile. See, V volume goes for V, right? Point of control, POC. Volume above POC, VAP. Volume below POC, VBP, right? This is called VBP as well, volume by price. Notice how they do a lowercase b. This one's an uppercase b, right? It kind of differentiates a little, but anyway, same abbreviation, different things. I like using large number display formatting. Because if you had a humongous number, it like, let's say you were, I don't know, you had like 10,000 deltas or something at a level, which we don't really have here, but if we did, it would just say like plus 10K, right, or 10.1K, and that would be enough for me. I don't want to see a big old number, but you know, maybe you would want that to be on somehow. Let's see. Make sure I'm not missing comments. It's been a while since I looked at the comments screen. I'm just going here. And then over here in your subgraphs, mainly what we're using is this one. Volume numbers, text color, and size, right? And so you're using this and this for these colors. And then you're also using the volume bars outline and fill color. So again, we're using a hologram, so we're only having to use the outline. There's no fill. But if it did fill, it would fill this ugly blue. But I didn't have to change it because I know I'm just doing a hologram. So the outline is referring, or the hologram refers to the outline. So hence this whatever. Again, I don't like the bright whites on my chart. That's just me. I'll use the second one all the time. It's just a little less obtrusive or obnoxious. So anyway, not using a lot of this stuff, right? POC, value area high lows, right? All the VWAPs, all that. I'm just not even using it, right? Keeping it uncluttered. Okay, so we apply this. Let's see, we're done. And now we go to the ETH one. And the ETH is essentially the exact same thing, right? Except it's going to be, instead of multiple periods, and this is important, it's going to be one period from start time to end time. And, right, it's going to be set, draw mode is volume profile, but one period from start time to end time. You're going to use a different start time and then do it according to however you set that up. Again, Sierra chart, you want to do 1 second before the cache open, and then the cache open starts at whatever, 6:30 or 9:30, whatever. Most of this is going to be the same. Okay, so this here is the maximum volume bar width percentage is set to 5. And you know why I do that? It's because I always want my RTH, it's a psychological thing. I want to know that my RTH volume profile holds more volume, so it's going to be wider, and my Globex one isn't going to be as wide here, right? It's going to be less wide. So because I have them overlaid, or not overlaid, but two of them on the right side, I want to know that this volume over here is always going to be less than the volume from the RTH. That way I can look at rotations a little bit, right? So it's kind of important. That's just me. That's how I like to do it. You could probably argue if there was a ton of volume in Globex, it's like an outlier Globex, where the Globex has a ton of volume in it for whatever reason. There's war, there's some other godforsaken thing occurring in the world, then you would be right in arguing that, hey, what if there's more volume in Globex? You won't know. Yeah, you're probably right. I won't. But by and large, Globex has a lot less volume, even though it trades for a lot longer period of time, right? It's just how it is, right? So let's go. It's again, right align it. The displaying the volume or text is ask volume minus bid volume, right? Again, if you want to filter it, this is where you do it. Always display last profile view, yes. Volume bar calculation method, the hologram is total volume. See, like this is set to yes, but like this is set to none. So, and you're not even doing it. So these don't matter for, you're not even using it. So these don't matter for settings. You want to set it to hologram as a draw method. Align these to the base. That's how I like it. But it's up to you. Align far right, yes. Do not overlap DOM graph, yes. Display data in chart values window. Yes. I say in the bottom of the graph, by the way. I don't think I pointed that out earlier, but you would have seen it. Here's where we change it. 7. Watch. So this is going to change this. Ding. Hard to read. That's why I did 8, but whatever. I did 7 on the other. We'll leave it as 7. I can still read it. Again, volume, point of control, volume above POC, volume below POC. Use this large number display formatting, yes, for the reasons I stated earlier. And then you can do volume profile bars length relative to all visible, like this. Right? Or now, does it make a big difference? Anyway, let's see. And we'll go back to the studies. And let's go back to ETH, VBP, and set this. Where was that? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't see much of a difference there. Anyway, that might be something you mess with. And then again, with the subgraphs, a lot of this you're not even using. So again, you do care about the volume numbers, the text, and let's see. And then you do care about the volume bars, outline, and fill color. I'm getting tired of talking. This is set to on. I don't know why. Let's see. I'll see how much that changed it. Maybe that's why I did it. So draw study underneath main price graph. Set it to on. Otherwise, you're probably. You know, someone asked me somewhere, I don't remember when, about how the heck do you get them so tight over here? That's probably how I did it. The hours and hours you spend and you forget where you made the change to, right? What a weird thing. Draw study underneath main price graph gets you that. Anyway, so I'm glad I hit apply and deselected it. Let's see. Is there anything else I'm missing here? I don't think so. I don't think so. So for more of you curious folk out there, hey, we took this trade. We took this little breakout. When it tested and came back, took it. It was nice. You see how the rotations worked? Volume. This one came back in. Right. Held volume. Anyway, I'm not going to get too much into it. But what was the? Oh, I guess I'll show you guys. Mine real quick here. That way you guys can be like, oh, I want to see that one. Let's see, footprint, ES center bar. I think it's this one. Yeah, it is. There. This is what mine looks like. A little different. See? So you see settlement. This is the settlement bar. And you can see I put the settlement in the header. T+1. It's 43.50. This calculates in real time. So settlement is the last 30 seconds. T+2. That's yes, the day before settlement. I like the 20 SMA over there. The 10 SMA. These are overlaid from another chart. So if I change this to a PNF chart, this doesn't get messed up. Watch. Point and figure 1 dash, oh, I don't know. 1 dash 20 or something. So volatile. Uh-oh. How many days do I have loaded in here? Might take a little time. Nah, not too bad. Maybe 10 days or something. Right, so you see the 10 SMA and 20 SMA don't really change. They look a little different, but they're in the exact same spots from the source chart that has a 5-minute, because I like to use 5-minute, 10 SMA, and 20 SMA for how, price often supports and rejects around those. So anyway, it's more clear on a 5-minute. So let's see, chart settings. Let's go back. I haven't been really using point figure too much lately, but right now, if you guys want to ask questions, it is a great time to ask questions or get me onto another topic, unless I didn't explain something well about that chart. But so anyway, I have the T+1, right? This is POC right here. You see how POC developed just a little bit, right? So at the close, it was different. POC was right here for the day. That's this line here. You can see volume point of control up here. Volume value area highs there, value area low. I got my 10 and 20 SMAs up here, T1 and T2, but everything else is essentially the same. So anyway, if you guys don't have any more questions, I am going to go do something else, I guess. Unless there's a question, but otherwise, have a great weekend. And thanks for stopping in and doing this chart build. I really hope this addresses some of the questions that people have been having about the center bar chart, because I did a YouTube live stream on the last one, and to be honest, someone pointed out to me that it's like named wrong or something, because I can never even find that video to share it with people. And there was questions. I think I went over some things without quite, addressing every little thing, and I think I addressed every little thing this time. Hey, I appreciate it. 727. We are enjoying the heck out of little Sophia. She's been great, man. So we've got a little boy and a girl, so very good. So anyway, if you're watching this video later and you haven't subscribed or liked, please do so. It does help out a little bit with the YouTube algorithm and all of that. And comment if there's something that you would like me to sort of build or make a video on. Put it in the comments. I'll read them. Maybe not every day, but I'll go check them. Every few days I'll go through and check my YouTube video comments. I'll filter for ones that I haven't read, and remove all the spam and stuff, because there's always some spam in there. But I'll check out the comments and okay, yeah, people want to see this or they want to see that, and then next time I have time to do a video, I'll do it. So anyway, have a great weekend. Thanks for stopping in. Take it easy.